Hey there, this is Mario from shockingfit.com, and in this video you're gonna learn when should you bulk or cut. It's a very common dilemma in the fitness industry that the guys are always wondering, when is the right time for me to go on a bulk? Should I go on a cut? Am I ready? When is the body fat percentage high enough, low enough, and all these kind of things. So I just want to put out a video explaining my approach to bulking or cutting. Obviously, the first thing I want to say is that there's no perfect way to approach this. There's just every coach will have their own kind of personal preference, and the one I'm pretty much advocating is the one that I found that works the best for me and all my clients, and it's something that I found plays really good with kind of a lifestyle aspect as well of it, not just the fitness aspect. If you're a competitor, if you're someone who is doing this for years and years and years, and you're professionally doing this, obviously then you can optimize the process, but I'm looking at it more from a standpoint of like a lifestyle and general health, and also getting that lean and muscular and strong body while hustling and keeping all the other areas in your life together. So when could someone bulk? That's the first thing. There's only two type of people that will actually respond well to a bulk. The type of person number one is someone who is naturally very, very skinny. So it's that guy who can eat whatever the hell he wants and never gains any weight. So that kind of person can obviously bulk. And when they bulk, they're, even despite the fact that they're eating a ton of calories, I mean, they can go up to 4,000 calories, but their non-exercise activity thermogenesis will compensate for the fact. So what I mean by that, the shortened version NEAT, is that non-exercise activity, like tapping your foot on the ground and all these sorts of things, like fidgeting, moving around. There was a study actually done that compared a group of people. They added 1,000 calorie increase for them, and those who were kind of naturally skinny were having a very, very high level of NEAT. So they would be burning 600 out of those 1,000 calories just through like random stuff they've done through the day. So they don't even gain any weight. So if someone is actually saying, hey dude, I can't get any weight, not eating enough calories, so more calories are needed for that specific person. And that non-exercise activity is also varying depending a lot on the individual. So you might be high or low. That's why the diet, I mean, the recommendations are individual, they're not generic in general. So that's the person number one. So it's a skinny person, can't gain any weight, definitely a good candidate for a bulk. When they're just starting out, they can gain that 20-25 pounds of muscle in the first year. It's gonna be a lot of lean muscle gain, not so much fat gain. Pretty good outcome for a bulk. The second type of person that I would say that can bulk is a person who had been pretty well ripped or jacked and had a lot of muscle mass, and they went on a trip or something like that, something happened, they stopped training and they reduced their amount of muscle mass. So they really lost a lot of weight. So they look pretty skinny, like smaller, they are still fairly lean, but they just lost that size. And for that person, when they go on a bulk, they can actually regain a lot of that muscle mass, and they can use that extra energy because of the muscle memory effect. And that doesn't last that long. So they can't even bulk that long, but they can initially amp up the calories just to get back that muscle mass. And those are the only two people, right? There's no such thing as a bulk for someone who has been lifting for a while. If you've been an experienced lifter with about a year or two experience, I mean, you notice that gaining muscle is very, very slow. So eating a tremendous amount of calories will simply yield to more fat gain, and you're just gonna become chubby. I mean, you might get a little bit stronger, obviously weight moves weight. So if you're adding a couple of pounds, a couple of kilos in yourself, you're definitely gonna feel a difference in the gym in terms of strength, but you're not gonna be building more muscle than you can, and simply the amount of muscle you can gain is limited by genetic potential. And for that, you can look at that like 25 pounds in the first year, second year maybe 12 pounds, 30 or 6 pounds per year. So it's not that high amount of weight. So gaining 20 pounds in a few months, for someone who's been lifting for 3 years, most of that is going to be fat. So there's no point in going in a bulk. There's no such thing as a bulk. So you actually have to go in some kind of lean gaining phase, where you would just give the body enough calories, enough permission from protein and correct macros to give it enough so it can build muscle, but at the same time so it's not gaining an excess amount of fat. So that's pretty much all there is about bulking. So what about cutting? So cutting, aka the phase where you would focus on burning fat. So you're doing that through a caloric deficit, you're keeping protein high, you're training intensely, your workouts are pretty good, they're challenging, and in that phase, that is you're focused on maintaining muscle and burning as much fat as possible. And that is a phase that I would recommend for anybody that can't see their abs. So even if you're a guy, let's say just starting out and you're a complete newbie, I would still, if you can't see your abs, if you're that skinny fat person or chubby overweight person, I would still recommend you to go on a cut, because you do have a lot of that potential energy, because your body can utilize the body fat storage to put out more energy. So you don't really need to bulk, right? You still have that energy, and then you can build muscle and lose fat at the same time. So in that's a favorable scenario for me. And I've been working with a lot of guys, and anybody who cut down, got to a really lean point where they can see their abs and get that Brad Pitt look from Fight Club, I mean, people are super happy with that, and there's a lot of psychological benefits to being leaner, not to mention that insulin sensitivity, and you're putting your body in a much better state to build muscle in the future. It's a much more long-term looking at things progress than just a short-term kind of thing. Oh, let's just lose a bunch of weight, or let's just gain a bunch of weight. So you want to look at more of a long-term perspective. So with the cutting, anybody above let's say 12-13% body fat, I would say it's time for a cut. Time to lean down, time to get ripped, time to get those abs out for those selfies, get that toilet selfie on Instagram and things like that. Because I know at that point you're gonna be happy with yourself, you're gonna build a lot of muscle, and you're gonna be in a much better position for the future gains. And then in the future, if you decide to increase the calories, obviously after you go past that newbie leaning phase, and you're just gain those 15-20 pounds of lean mass as much as you can, then you can decide whether you want to increase a little bit of the calories. But once again, the bulk is only applicable for year one. Anything above that can't really bulk. The cut, I mean, there's no need for a cut if you've done everything properly. If you're just lean, you can just gain a little bit of muscle until you're like gaining enough fat to reach about 14-15% body fat. You want to stay with that range between like 8 and 15. So if I hit my upper range of body fat, I'll always cut down until I get to my preferred level of leanness. That's, let's say, 7% of body fat. And then once I reach that point, I'm gonna say stop. Okay, it's time to go to lean gaining phase. That's gonna last almost a year. And I'm gonna slowly gain weight, very slowly, depending on how my genetic potential is and how fast am I gaining fat. And then when I reach my top level, let's say that's 14%, I'm gonna start leaning down again. So it's simply gonna be alternating these two phases, and it also allows me variety of foods throughout the year, going through different phases, traveling, all these kind of things. It's very manageable because I'm not doing anything extreme. I'm not starving myself when I'm doing the diet. I'm not like force feeding myself when I'm doing the quote unquote bulk, right? So it's very sustainable, very manageable. And that's kind of the approach that works for me and works for most of the people that I've ever worked with. And that's what I would say. So to summarize the cutting, if you can't see your abs, time to cut. And if you're naturally skinny, then it's time to bulk. If you're had a break from training, if you're pretty lean, then it's actually time to bulk a little bit. But in any other case, it's gonna be a cut. So yeah, hope you guys learned from this video, and let me know in the comments below if you're currently in a bulk or a cut. I'm curious, what are you doing? What are you up to? What is your goal when it comes to like bulking or cutting? And as always, share your ideas. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to click subscribe below the video, support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.